What's up, people? Perry here with an episode, a challenge, if you will. I did the first challenge, which was a speed building challenge. However, I've made some alterations since then. One of them is that I brought along Mr. Random, and if you saw in my previous video, I was giving you a little bit of a preview of what is to come with this whole speed building series. And the other thing that I need to talk about is the fact that it's not going to be a speed building series. It's going to be just a building challenge with the help of Mr. Random here, of course, generating two different items, one an item that you can find in Minecraft, and the other being a piece of paper that has some sort of description on it. And from there we can go ahead and try and create something with it using those two items as sort of inspiration. And the reason why I decided to take the time off of the challenge is that I was kind of reminded way back when I used to go to school, when I went to high school, my art teacher used to assign projects throughout the year. And usually what ends up happening is that she says that there's like a deadline, and you can hand it in on the deadline. Either that, or you could wait till the end of the semester or end of the year to hand it in, and you could do that. And I found it a really cool way, because sometimes you're not hit with that sort of inspiration, and that's kind of what she was going for. She wanted us to kind of do things on our own time. Of course, she is very cognizant of the fact that you have to hand it in at some point, but she gave us that leeway to kind of make sure that we did things properly and we did things right. I'm sure I left a lot of work for her at the end of the year, because a lot of people were scrambling to make their projects and get them in on time, because you know it just ends up being a procrastination thing. So but it allowed us to kind of do our own thing, be able to kind of generate our own creativity on our own time. So in that spirit, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try and build something using these two items, and not worry too much about the time. I am aiming for about 30 to 40 minutes of building, so it's not going to be anything really spectacular. However, you guys are probably not going to see that. You will probably see an edited version, probably around 20 minutes. Yeah, that's the way I usually like to keep my videos. But why don't we just go right ahead and get to Mr. Random here. I've turned him on, and that's why I was talking the entire time, because I was getting him all warmed up. The cycles have been going through and through, so I have no idea where it is going to end up stopping. So why don't we go ahead and just get our first item, whatever that may be. I hope it's something good for our first episode here. Oh, a stair. A stair. Acacia wood stair, to be exact. That could be interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna think about using the shape, perhaps the color. That would be probably favorable. And we're gonna go ahead and get our descriptive item. And I do have not only descriptive items, but also building types in this set here. And that's only because I tend to move towards building houses when it comes to inspiring things. So I added in stuff like bridges and towers and stuff like that, just so that we can get a little bit more variety should the opportunity come up. And let's see what we have for our descriptive item. Cube. Acacia wood, stairs, and a cube. So stairs and cube. I don't know what we're going to do with that, but we're going to go off into somewhere in this freshly generated world and try and find out a decent location for us to start building. And, you know, oftentimes when you start to build, it's a good idea to find a nice location to build your thing in, not just some random place where you can just build a simple house. Sometimes the background can actually accentuate the actual build itself. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it's going to be a little bit cut here. So we're not doing speed runs, but when we come back, I will have found my location. All right, so here is the location that I've picked out. As you can see, it's a nice focal point just by using the size. It's a natural kind of focal point that we can work off of, and what we're going to be building is probably something along the lines that needs sort of like a focus or attention to it. So I have my 2 items just right over here. Got our cube and our stair, and so let's start the build, I guess you could say, because I don't know what we're going to be building. It feels like what we're going to be doing is some sort of, the stairs themselves are kind of in a cube type shape, I guess, in my opinion, but I think what we'll end up doing is try to incorporate cubes into a stair type structure. So what we're going to do first is I want to be able to kind of build a platform or a little bit of foundation, I think. And like I said, usually my builds tend to be houses, so that's what's going through my head right now. I'm thinking some sort of house type structure. I mean, you take a look from here. It's a nice place to build a house. I mean, you look from all these different vantage points, lots of places to take advantage of the view. So it's just something that kind of naturally calls out to me. If I can work the keyboard just right. So I think what we're going to try and do is we're going to go ahead and use some, I want to, you know what, I always go towards like stone or stone bricks, but I want to use something a little bit different. Maybe we'll just go with wood. Sometimes I do tend to go towards wood, but I'm thinking that wood may be the best option. We do have the acacia wood. That might be something to go off of. Why don't we do that? Just in the spirit of the fact that I got acacia wood. Let's see, we got the wood stairs and then the slab. And of course, I think there's the wood block somewhere. Where are you? It's funny because usually sometimes they put the wood blocks separate from each other, but not this time. They've kept them in order. Nice. Making me look like a fool in Minecraft. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and build some sort of a structure. I'm thinking about anchoring into the ground like so. And I want to count off, maybe there's about 4 blocks here. I wanted to build it right here, but that would leave us with an even number of blocks. And I want an odd number of blocks just for the sake of details. And you always hear people talk about even and odd numbers of blocks, especially when they're trying to build in Minecraft. And that's because of the fact that you want to be able to incorporate your details in certain fashions. For instance, if you had built say something that is even blocks in nature, so you got like 1, 2, 3, 4. As you build up, if you're building something that's symmetrical, obviously you would end up having to do something like this, but you don't really have much room to add in details here. You have to, say if you want to build up the middle here, you pretty much have to keep it the same, right? However, if you extend it out by 1 and thus making it some sort of an odd type number, you can build up the sides, and then in the middle you have an extra space to kind of add in a little bit more detail. So that's usually how it goes with the even odd rule. I tend to stay with the odd number of blocks just because you get that little extra bit of detail. But you know, everybody's preference is different. So I think that would be a good anchor point over there. Now I'm thinking about cube here. So cube, I think this is 5 blocks in length. We're going to count off 5 blocks going this way. Like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Okay, so that's perfect. And we want to anchor this point into the ground. And then we're going to go up into this direction, count off 5 blocks again, and we're going to anchor this area over here. Now that looks like a pretty decent start. All right, so here's what I've got done so far. This is maybe after about 5 or 10 minutes. Truth be told, I did screw up here and there with my count and everything, but that was only because I was trying to get the cubes just right so that they are cubes and not rectangles. But using the cube idea that we had, I've come up with these 3 rather acacia-looking cubes right here, and going off of that, I thought to myself to put it in sort of a stair type formation, so something like that. And so that's what I've gotten done so far, and I think that what I want to do next is to start taking away some of this area right here, just because of the fact that I want to be able to highlight the fact that these are cubes, and I think that the ground is kind of getting in the way of that a little bit. Maybe I want to shave off a little bit more here so I can kind of accentuate the actual fact that it's a cube. I'll take away some of the flooring here. I'll have to add in some type of wood. Maybe I'll put acacia wood here. That might be an idea. They kind of go well together. That's a good idea. So I think we'll just try and take away some of this, and then we'll take a step back and get a good look at it, because that's always a good thing. You want to take a step back, make sure everything looks good, everything looks fantastic. There we go. So we got our 3 cubes kind of set up in a stair formation, and so I think the next thing that I wanted to do was to kind of give it a little bit of a base. And usually when I build something, a house or a structure, I want to make sure that it has some sort of stable base so it looks a little bit more realistic. Of course, in Minecraft, that's not really a problem, but I think that it would be a good idea to go ahead and try to give it a foundation of sorts. Now, I don't want to take away from the fact that these are cubes, so I think what we're going to do is probably end up anchoring it into the ground. I don't want to use stone because then it just looks like it's part of the ground. Perhaps cobblestone might work. I know that's usually not the best type of block, and it's usually, I don't know, for me cobblestone tends to be one of those blocks that I try to steer away from, but your opinions may differ, of course. There's quartz. I like to use quartz a lot, but it's not really going to work for our circumstances here. There's this redstone, smooth redstone. Let's take a look at that. Kind of goes with the acacia wood, especially that color. It's got that same tone to it. That could be real interesting. So let's try and fill this in as sort of a foundation. Now I don't want to line it up directly with the sides here. I want to inset it just a little bit so it gives us a little bit more depth and a little bit more added detail to it, right? So we'll try to add this in right here. So there we go. That's kind of interesting, and we'll just take away some of these blocks right here so we can fill that in. I want to keep as much of the natural generation of the land as possible, as much of it as possible, and I think that once I fill this in, we'll get a better idea of what this is going to look like. And we don't need to fill that in. All right. Okay, so we just want to fill that right there. That we'll leave alone. Take a look around it. That looks like a pretty stable base. So just like this one here, I might want to fill that in as well. That might give it a little bit more of a continuity between the 2 shapes. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead, fill in a little bit more here, and I'll come back with you with a little bit more progress. All right, and continuing on with the process, it's been about 10 minutes, basically me just mulling over what to do next. I have filled in the rest of the structure with the red sandstones. It's quite a cool block. It's kind of worked well with the whole thing. I filled in this little gap here again just to fill in the structure a little bit, and it kind of gives it a little bit more of a cohesiveness. I filled in the the cubes themselves with acacia wood, but I'm thinking right now that I'm going to cover it up because I want to fill in this area with some sort of design. Now, I do think that we're going to go with the acacia wood stairs, kind of a stair and stairception type deal we got going on here. So I think I want some sort of a background color because, and this is the pattern that I think I'm going to end up going with. I've used it before, and it seems like kind of a cop-out, but I find it a really cool type texture. Is that this little design right here looks kind of cool with that little angled in, and then once you start repeating that pattern going up, looks pretty cool. So I need some sort of block to go in the back here, and instead of going with the same old colors here, we have this warm type orangey feel. Thinking if we go with our color wheel, and I'm thinking about a complementary color, which means that on the opposite side of the color wheel it would be a bluish green, I believe, if I can remember off the top of my head. Cyan? Yeah, we'll go cyan. We're gonna be bold here. We're gonna fill in this with this cyan color wool. I know to you, some of you, it might not look that great, but sometimes you just gotta take a chance, and sometimes things will start to pan out. I've never had a problem with going out on a limb in terms of design. I don't like to keep it safe, because if it's anything in life that you can take a chance on, it's art. I mean, there's not really that much danger there when you're dealing with paints and drawings and all that stuff. So if you feel the need to take a risk in life, try with art. I know it's not as dangerous as jumping off a cliff or anything like that, but to me it's something that gets my creative juices going. So we'll just fill that in. I don't think I'll need to fill in that portion. That's pretty cool color. We'll have to repeat this pattern, and how we do that is like so. There we go. And I'm just going to use that there as filler. All right, and there you have it. We've repeated the pattern, I think, quite nicely. It's filled in, I think, pretty well. And now all we have to do is just repeat for all of the rest of the faces of these cubes. And there we have it. So using the word cube and also the acacia wood stairs, we come up with something like this. Now, I did use a little bit of a cop-out and fill in the tops of these with stairs, or not half slabs, just slabs. The idea behind it is that I can't really use stairs in these locations here, so it seems like a little bit of a cop-out, but it kind of fills in the whole thing. But yeah, this is what I came up with in about 45 minutes. You could probably do it in about 35 minutes building this. The whole process of coming up with the idea and all that is just that I had to had to delete some blocks here and there, but it is completely doable. Again, it's an exercise in just trying to build something out of nothing. Go ahead and try it yourself. Don't put too much pressure on you. If you feel that you can't do it, don't do it. It's meant to be fun. Don't give yourself too much time. Again, about 45 minutes, maybe about half an hour, somewhere around there, to kind of conceptualize your idea. And now we have a little something that we can take away and possibly keep in the bank for another occasion when we're actually building something that we want to try and build. Something of these details might come up in a build that is of importance for yourself. So go ahead, try it out for yourself. Again, the words are acacia wood stairs and the word cube. Go ahead and try it out. Send me a tweet on Twitter and show me your creations, and I'll be sure to retweet them out. Really would like to see that from you guys. But in no short time, you can come up with something that looks pretty cool. So that's it for me. That's it for this episode. Hopefully we'll be doing many of these episodes. I quite enjoyed this one. Much better than doing a speed build, that's for sure. So don't forget to leave your comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this series. Hopefully it'll encourage me to do more of these more often. But yeah, and if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, of course. Keeps you up to date on all the fantastic things that are going on in it. So that's it for me. Always remember, keep your head up, and I'll see you in the next one.